I believe this little piece of technology is ruining our ability to network, and I'm going to tell you why. Good Marc TV morning. Now, if you're like most people who attend networking events, whether it's like business to consumer or an association or industry or whatever it is, chances are you're walking around, there's lots of people, lots of trade show booths, and you're collecting a whole bunch of these business cards. And if you're like most people, you probably make notes on the back, and when you get back to your office, you scroll through the piles of business cards, and your notes kind of remind you of who you were talking to or what you were talking about, so that you can kind of follow up with them and keep the conversation going. Now, I was recently at one such event, but the organizer of the event, instead of encouraging people to share business cards, gave every attendee one of these, this little electronic device, and you could clip it to your lanyard and walk around with it. And the idea being is that when you meet somebody, instead of getting their business card, all you had to do was pull out this thing and they would have one, and you just touch the two together and all of their information would be stored instantly on this little device. Now, how they collected this information was interesting, because when you registered for the show, you were directed to a page where there was a questionnaire, and it asked you everything and anything, and you had the choice about how much information you wanted to enter. Now, of course, there was the usual stuff, your name, your title, the company, address, contact information. There was also things like what industry you're in or what industry publications you like to read. There was also things like your birthday, hobbies, interests, other associations you belong to. I mean, it was a long list of questions, and you could share whatever amount of information you wanted to, and all of that was shared simply by touching yours to someone else's. Now, after the show, when you get back to the office, all you have to do is unplug the little USB portion of it, pop it in your computer, and instantly this entire list of people and all their interests and contact information downloads onto your computer. The problem is that now, instead of having business cards with little notes and relevant pieces of information that you've added yourself to help you remind yourself who that person is and what you were talking about, now you end up with this humongous spreadsheet full of names and other pieces of information you might find useless or worthless. But the key thing here is that none of this information is yours. You're looking at all these names and you're thinking to yourself, who was that person? I don't remember speaking to them. You see, part of the problem is that it was so easy to make connections with this little thing that people were running around the show just saying, hey, how you doing? And reaching out and touching their little USB cables. Now, one big problem the list of people that you downloaded was so big is because it was so easy to connect. I mean, I was watching people at the show and they were just running around holding out their little key fob thing and just touching it with everybody and anyone. They'd meet people at the bar, they'd meet people at some kind of meeting or at a trade show booth or just standing in the elevator. It's like, hey, how you doing? And they just whip it out and they touch, and that's it. You've added someone to your list. And then you get back to the office and you have a list of hundreds of people. In fact, this was even encouraged because there were contests going on as to who could make the most connections. Now, I am a little bit old-fashioned, and I'm of the belief that it should be a little difficult to make a connection. And when I say difficult, I mean it's something you actually have to do consciously. It shouldn't be as easy as just pulling out a little fob and touching it. You should actually have to introduce yourself, say hi, ask questions, get to know the person, start some conversation, and then at such point you decide that you want to continue or start building this relationship beyond the show. Then you trade business cards. And of course, if you're like most people, you then make notes on the card. So when you get back, you remember who they are. Then you follow up with a phone call, an email, whatever. So this brings me back to my original point that I opened the show with, and that being that technology can sometimes have a negative impact on our ability to communicate even in person. Now, everybody likes to think how easy technology is, how efficient it is, and how it saves us so much time. But my belief is that when you communicate one-on-one with a real person, it should not be based on technology. It should be based on a common interest and a desire to learn from each other and get to know each other on a social level first, which is something that technology is really not about at all. So my advice to you is this: When you go to a networking event, whether it's for the public, whether it's business to business, your association, your company, whatever it is, and you want to get to know people, I understand you might be a little shy. I understand it might be hard to go up to somebody you don't know, but I want you to trust me on this. When I tell you that they are nervous too, and by you going up to them, you're actually helping them because they want to meet people. Everybody wants to meet people, but they want to do it in a real way, a sincere way, and sometimes that can be a little overwhelming, a little intimidating. But you know what? Nobody is going to turn you down. If you go up to anybody, I promise you, extend your hand, say hi, introduce yourself. It's not like a high school dance where you're going to be flipped off. No one's going to brush you off. Nobody's going to tell you to get lost. They are going to be happy to meet you because that's what they want to do. So I encourage you not to be that wallflower. And if you see someone who's standing in the corner, they're a little bit shy, be the one to go up to them. Not only will you potentially meet someone who could become a great supplier or a great customer or perhaps a resource that can help you, but you're also going to be making someone's day because, you know, they're just waiting and wanting to make that connection. And you know what? Technology is not going to help them, but you can. Now, if you like this episode and you want to know more and get notice of new Marc TV episodes, I encourage you to click the subscribe button in the bottom corner. And if you're watching this on Facebook or LinkedIn, then just hop on over to marktv.net. Yeah, there it is right there, marktv.net. Catch more Marc TV episodes. And again, you can subscribe. So if you have any questions or comments, post them down below. You know I'll answer back. And if you have an idea for an upcoming show or a question that you want me to answer, just send it along and I'll do my best and give you a shout out at the same time. So until next time, I'm Marc Gordon and you've been watching Marc TV.